Alexander, the majority of Labour MPs voted to trigger Article 50, which started this process. But an essential part of this process is this so-called repeal bill, and they're now threatening to vote against it. How does that work?
Because they accept the principle that Britain will leave the European Union, but they're not convinced by what, by David Davis's reckoning, is one of the most important pieces of legislation to come before the Commons in many decades. They're doing their job in making sure that they scrutinise this bill effectively and make sure it's the best possible bill given the circumstances the country finds itself in.
It's not trying to frustrate the Brexit process? I mean, if they were, they may not have the numbers, but if they were to vote this bill down, what would happen?
Well, it's ultimately in the government's hands. I mean, I think the Labour Party leadership has taken quite a lot of heat in recent months for not seeking to circumvent or to deny the vote that was cast on the 23rd of June last year, at the same time as saying there are significant changes that can and should be made to this bill. For example, the Henry VIII powers, the way devolution is treated. There are very significant principles embedded in this legislation which deserve to be scrutinised by Parliament.
It makes it a lot more difficult if you're going to face guerrilla war from the Labour Party now, doesn't it, given it's a hung parliament?
It does, and I think that the point is that the Labour Party supported the notification of withdrawal bill, which of course was the legislation that led to triggering Article 50, and having done that, I think that they've got a duty to act positively towards this bill and not seek to frustrate it. I think Douglas...
But they're right to... I mean, their job as the opposition, their job is to scrutinise it, and they don't need to accept everything. They may accept the principle. Indeed, I heard a Labour spokesman this morning saying they do. But it's then their job, if the bits they don't like, they're perfectly entitled to vote against it.
Well, I'm not sure that Keir Starmer sounds as if he's accepting the principle at the moment. But I think moving beyond that, yes, of course we accept that the bill has got to be scrutinised. And I think that one of the most positive things recently was the House of Lords Constitution Committee report, which actually suggested a way forward in terms of scrutiny. I think that's a really good basis for going forward, having for example, joint committees of both houses scrutinising the legislation before each clause is put forward. And I think that that's a really good basis for discussion.
The shadow Brexit minister has, quote, put the government on notice. The leader of the Liberal Democrats, still for a while, says the repeal bill will, quote, be hell. You must be glad you're not in that department anymore.
Well, there are compensations not being in the department.
This sounds like trench warfare, doesn't it?
I think that the comments of Tim Farron are really, frankly, ridiculous to suggest that the process is going to be hell. I fully accept that politicians on all sides are going to have to scrutinise this, and there'll be Conservative colleagues who want to do that too. But to talk in terms of, as he is effectively wrecking it, I think is very irresponsible.